Pokemon 151 has been out for over a year now and has exploded in price over the past couple months. Today we are revealing the top 10 most expensive cards in Scarlet Violet 151 a year after its release. This set has seen an explosion in price over the past couple of months, but it seems like it is starting to settle down, so we're going to look at what the prices were a year ago compared to now. Even with the explosion in price, will the Charizard be able to stay in the top 10 for all of Scarlet and Violet? Which card has the largest price jump in over a year? We will answer both of these questions in today's video. Let's jump to number 10. At number 10, we have the Charmeleon Illustrator Rare. The Charmeleon is coming in at $27.68. It's down $1.54 from its last reading. Last year, this thing was at $18.16 and it peaked out at $32.77. From a graded aspect, this thing is coming in at $187 in a PSA 10. And this thing has a super low population compared to the rest of the Scarlet and Violet cards we've seen, really. Coming in at 2,056, so that's actually pretty low, especially once we go look at the Charizard and other SIRs. This one's pretty low. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm surprised this is number 10. Not because it's not a good card, okay? Flametail boys, leave me alone. I thought the Pikachu would have crept into this spot by now. The Pikachu is really super underrated. In my personal opinion, it's the most underrated card in the set. Like, every time I look at that card, I find another Pokemon that's in it. It's a really good card. But anyway, we're not talking about Pikachu, we're talking about the Charmeleon. This card is nice, okay? The story that the SIRs tell from the Charmander to Charmeleon to the Charizard, it's fantastic, okay? Right? The scenery's great, the story's great. But the real reason why this card is so much money, especially right now because we're in a bull market, everyone is trying to get PSA 10s and have all three of them and sell them as a set, okay? That's just how it is. This thing's gonna have value just because people want perfect copies. They're gonna pay more for it. At $27, honestly, that's not bad, really. Personally, I think this card will just continue to move up because of that, people wanting the evolution line. I think this thing is more in the $35 to $40 range is where it's gonna probably settle at once again. Maybe we get another leg up because, you know, this market's insane right now. Anything can happen. But I think $35 to $40 is where this thing's gonna have a nice settling point. At number 9, we have the Bulbasaur Illustrator Rare. And this thing's coming in at $34.22. It's actually down $1.51 from its last reading. A year ago, this card was sitting at $19.83 and it peaked at $36.03. Right now, PSA 10 is going for $192, which is pretty solid. I'm gonna look at the population, and the population on this one, again, is really low compared to others, right? Like 2000, we've seen cards that only have 500 in population, obviously, like more vintage stuff. For Scarlet and Violet, 2000 is a pretty low number, honestly, really, for this popular of a card. So this is the one that I really thought would have moved even more by now. This is my personal favorite of the original Trio's based evolutions cards. I will add more to that in the next couple cards. Trust me, some people's not gonna like my opinion, but it's okay. Honestly, just like the Charmeleon, any of the original Trios, they're just gonna keep going up because people's gonna be buying these in 10s, trying to grade 10s and sell them as 10s or collect them as 10s, honestly, because like these in 10s, having all three base evolutions and having the entire lines in a 10, that would look solid for anybody's collections. You have both ways that are gonna want this card and pay top dollar for it, because then you're gonna have them fighting each other. You're gonna have the collector fighting the investor, and it's just gonna be, I mean, this market could get insane just because of that, because so many people's trying to collect, so many people's trying to invest, so many people, then you got the people in the middle just trying to sell everything. This could get crazy. Personally, I think this card's gonna hit $50 in no time. Whenever I talk to a lot of people in the community, and obviously I don't talk to a whole lot because we're a very small pocket, but just the pocket that I talk to, a lot of people like this card, man, and a lot of people still need this card. There's a lot of people who still need this card. This card's kind of relatively hard to pull. We might see a slowdown when Blooming Waters comes out, of course, because anytime new product comes in, there's a chance that the prices will dip, but who knows? 151's got enough hype, it might not. And in this market, if we're still in it by then, which we probably will be, it's not going to change anything. At number 8, we have the Alakazam EX SIR, and this bad boy is coming in at $38.44. It's only down 26 cents from its previous reading. A year ago, this thing was sitting at $26.12, and we actually just came off of its all-time high, sitting at $41.01. PSA 10, this thing's going for $172, and that, honestly, 151 is the best set to grade in Scarlet and Violet. It's not even close. I mean, not just short term, long term too. This thing's gonna do so good. Let's see what the pop is. I'm curious if this is high or low. Okay, I mean, it's almost at 4,000. That's actually a lot higher than I thought it was gonna be. I thought we was gonna stay in the 2000s like the other two were. Kind of high. There's actually, so a lot of people have been trying to grade it and it's been getting 9s. There's more 9s than there's 10s. There's 4,200 9s. That's interesting. That's an interesting stat. Honestly, this card was undervalued for a long time. When it was setting at like 20 I've seen it drop down to like 20 bucks. This is crazy, honestly. This card's really nice. It's one of my favorites in the entire set. I think this is the second most underrated card in the set besides the Pikachu IR. Honestly, this card is exactly where it should be. I think this card should have been $40 a long time ago, possibly extending into that $45 to $50 range in the next couple weeks. That's kind of where I expect it to be. The card was undervalued for a very long time, finally getting some love. At number 7, we have the Squirtle Illustrator Rare. The Squirtle's coming in at $39.17. It's down $1.02 from its previous reading. Last year, this thing was sitting at $22.13, so quite a jump, honestly. And we're just coming off of its all-time high that was $43.18. Rated in a PSA 10, this thing is going for $211. That's really good. That's pretty low. $23.62 is kind of low. Once again, for the Scarlet Violet era, you're gonna see once we start getting more. Even the Alakazam had more than this. That's interesting for the Squirtle to only have this. Squirtle's one of my favorite Pokemon. Okay, we don't call ourselves the Squirtle Squad for nothing. I literally have a tattoo of Squirtle and Blastoise on my body. But I'd be lying if I said that this is my favorite card of the original trio, because I already told you the Bulbasaur was. There's a reason why. I love the scene. I love the story that's being told with these cards. God, I cannot get over the size of Squirtle's head. I mean, it just bothers me. It literally drives me up a wall. His head is huge. I don't know why it's so big. I don't know why it looks that way. I don't know. Squirtle looks weird to me in this picture. It always has since we first seen it. I love the story. I love the scene, but it just doesn't do it for me. Grading is going to play a huge factor in the prices of all these cards, especially with this one. I don't know why, but with the Squirtle and the War Turtle, print lines are horrible. They are notorious for these things. And it's not like just one little print line. I've seen them have the grids printed on them. I mean, it's horrible with these cards. I don't know if it's the blue background. I don't know what it is. People's going to pay more for perfect copies because there's so many bad copies out there. Honestly, this one is right where I think it should be. Gonna reach $50 in no time, and it should bounce between $45 and $50. At number 6, we have the Full Art Charizard EX. This thing is coming in at $40.48. It is down $1.64 from its previous reading. On the yearly, a year ago, it was $29.36, and its all-time high was $42.35, which we recently came off of. Graded in a PSA 10. I know this one because I've sold a couple of these out of 10. It's about $110. It's not the greatest, honestly, which I'm kind of surprised about that, but let's see what the population is. I just now noticed that graded, it shows the population here. Didn't even have to go to pop. Oh God, what a moron. That's kind of high population, honestly. 3940 for the population, so 3,940 of these in PSA 10s. Only full art we have on this list is being carried by the Flametail boys for sure. I will say it is by far my favorite full art Charizard that has come out in quite a while. This is a direct impact from people coming back into the hobby, where people left for a little bit, now they're coming back and they're like Charizard. Personally, that's how I feel about that. Just remember how much the full art Charizard was from Brilliant Stars when it first came out. I mean, at one point I think that card was worth like 70 bucks. This one is way better than that one. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is a really solid card. I can see why the Flametail boys are pumping this one. Don't downplay hype, because hype can definitely pump and go a long way. Look at Surgeon Sparks. Hype is just carrying that set right now, which is absolutely insane. This one is another one that's definitely gonna hit $50. I mean, the 151 hype train, like I said, is going crazy. Luckily, we're getting that new product in February, or these prices could have been even more crazy. $60 isn't out of the question on this card, especially when the Flametail boys come out to play. At number 5, we have the Charmander Illustrator Rare, and this thing is coming in at $46.30. It's actually up $3.14 from its previous reading. A year ago, this thing was only at $21.96. That's pretty incredible. The all-time high for this card is $46.67, and honestly, this thing did that a few weeks ago, and it's just been trading sideways since. This thing could explode. Usually when you see that sideways action, it's almost like a spring building up potential energy, and then boom, kinetic energy straight to the moon, dude. In a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $244, which that is not the all-time high for this card. It was going for $364 in a 10. That's pretty incredible. But if you look at the population, kind of low. Once again, 2483. I'm surprised that this is not number 4. The reason why is because there's a lot of Charizard fans, of course, the Flametail boys. Shout out to you guys. They love their 3 evolution lines. I actually think that this thing is in the correct price range for right now. You've seen the chart. This thing is primed to go to the next level. I mean, it could go 65, 70, honestly. It would not surprise me. Graded prices are going to carry this. The deeper we get into the FOMO section of everything, people are just going to be buying these. They'll eventually come to the realization it's not worth opening 151, and they'll just buy singles because they're still relatively cheap, and they'll buy them and then grade them and then sell them, or just buy them, grade them, and collect them because it's way cheaper than spending $8 a pack on 151 right now. Buying the singles are the way to go for 151 right now. At number 4, we had the Zapdos EX SIR. This thing is coming in at $46.35. It is down 42 cents from its previous reading. A year ago, it was sitting at $31.76. Its all-time high was $52.96. Graded, this thing is coming in at $182, which is not bad at a PSA 10, and this pop's kind of relatively high from what we've seen so far at 4,367. So that's pretty interesting, but there's more 9s than there is 10s, so people is definitely grading. Look how many 8s there is. Oh god, 5,309s. Whew, that's a lot of set of cards right there, bro. I got a hot take here, guys. Not gonna lie to you, this is my favorite card in the set. I think this is the best SIR. Take it easy on me in the comments, Flametail boys, okay? I'm just telling you how I feel. This is a $60 card all day long, in my opinion. Even there is still undervalued to me. So for the Zapdos, this is the card I've seen pulled the least amount of times as far as the SIRs go. That's just my personal experience. Obviously, everyone's different, so maybe that's why it resonates with me more. This card in a 10, it is obviously sought after because people is trying to grade it like crazy, and it looks like it's kind of hard to get a 10 with more 9s than there is 10s, so that's kind of an interesting afterthought there. Honestly, I don't know if it'll reach this in the short-term future, but I don't see how this isn't a $100 card. I really don't. At number 3, we have the Blastoise EX SIR, and this bad boy is coming in at $67.15. It's actually up $3 from its previous reading. A year ago, it was sitting at $41.06, and its all-time high is $77, pretty much even. Graded, this thing in a 10 is coming in at $240, so pretty impressive. The population count on this thing is 5,727. Look at the 9s. Holy moly, 7,000 9s. Again, I'm a Blastoise man. I got this thing tattooed on my skin, but this should not be in front of the Zapdos. I'm sorry, I know it's the big 3, but it just shouldn't be. The story, the scene is great. The card is very vague to me. I don't know. I still like the card. I'm not saying the card's a bad card. I just don't think this card is better than the Zapdos card, personally. I know that's not all that goes in when you're talking value, but it's just hard to justify it to me which card is worth more than others. But I understand that this card, it's not all about looks. I get it. With all that being said, I'm pretty happy Blastoise is getting some love, though. I know there's kind of an oxymoron there, but still, I personally think that this card should be more in the $70 to $75 range, kind of where its all-time high was. I know its all-time high was a tick higher than the range I just said. I think it would fall right in there. It could bounce up to like that, but that's where this card should be. Obviously, $41 was the time to buy this card. Shout out to the Blasty boys. I love you guys. This is not my favorite Blastoise card. I'm not gonna lie. At number 2, we have the Venusaur EX SIR. The Venusaur is coming in at $67.25, up $5.60 from its previous reading. A year ago, this thing was sitting at $36.09, and its all-time high was $76.56. This thing is coming in at $240 in a PSA 10, with a population of 5,152 in a 10, and at a 9, it's 5,792. So, whew. It's a lot of Venusaurs getting graded there, baby. Guys, I got one more hot take, and this one's probably gonna rustle some jimmies. Maybe not. Maybe some people will agree with me. I'm sure somebody will agree with me. This is my favorite SIR from the original trio. I think this is a $100 card. Again, I think this and the Zapdos should be fighting for the number 2 spot. I understand looks is not everything when it comes to value, but still, that's just my personal opinion. Either way, this is a $100 card. Don't see how this card doesn't hit $100 in the near future, but just from looking around the market and with how 151 is getting so much hype, like what we've been talking about this entire video, hitting $100 after the Blooming Waters box comes out would not be a absolute shock to me. Who knows? We might get another leg up beginning of the year, but I think this Venusaur is, I think it's honestly, it's a fantastic card. Of course, any card in 151 is worth buying the card straight up, even the Charizard, I think, personally. At number 1, we have the Charizard EX SIR. This thing's coming in at $202.87. It is up $9.35 from its previous reading. A year ago, this thing was at $102.30. All-time high so far is $210.34. In a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $553, which is kind of insane. Population on this thing is ridiculous. It is coming in at 9,590, and a PSA 9 is coming in at 11,724. That is a lot of Charizards. Holy crap. 9,000, that's unreal, honestly. I know I said the Venusaur was my favorite, but I'm not an idiot. I still know who the king is. When this set first came out, I was honestly shocked that this card wasn't at the price that it's at now upon release, honestly. I thought this card was so undervalued for so long, and it finally got to where it needs to be, honestly. I feel like this little bull run that we're in right now kind of corrected the market, because 151 was severely undervalued. I don't know if it's because of the amount of population of product or what. Every card in here was undervalued for a long time. Even a Charizard. I mean, the population in a PSA 10 is kind of crazy, but as far as just the raw value, there's just no way this thing is only a $200 card, because we've seen market prices from previous Charizards skyrocket past that. $200 a year in. I mean, it feels like to me this is where it should have been the entire time, is what I'm saying, pretty much. The bull run corrected the market, is how I feel. Fell under $100 at one point. I think I remember seeing this card for like 99 bucks. That's crazy, right? When's the last time you remember seeing an alt-art Charizard under $100? Is this thing gonna be a top 10 card when it's all said and done? When the era's over, is this gonna be a top 10 card? Obviously, it's hard to say because we don't know what other cards are coming out. There might be another Charizard card. I personally think we're gonna get the Rainbow Lisa Frank Charizard coming out. That could take over everything. It could. I'm not saying it will, but I wouldn't be surprised by that, right? The big thing is Prismatic Evolutions. I don't see this card dropping out of the top 10 after the era is over. Prismatic Evolutions comes out, the top 10 is probably gonna be all outside of maybe the Pikachu. Even the Greninja could get pushed out. I'm talking about like first 2 weeks of release of Prismatic, just because of how crazy everything is. The writing's on the wall for Prismatic Evolutions to be a complete disaster, okay? Like, it's on the wall. Do think long term, this card is gonna do very well. There's a lot of cards out there that are graded already, okay? 9,000 ain't no joke. Later on, people's gonna want this card in a 10. They will pay big money for this thing. Of course, raw dollar value, they're gonna be paying big money to get this in a 10. Or raw Charizards might even be worth even more just because they're all graded. Everybody's grading these things, which I don't blame them. Long story short, long term, I think this Charizard will be in the top 10 once Scarlet and Violet's over. Short term, with Prismatic Evolutions coming out, it was probably gonna fall out of the top 10. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We were killing it with these top 10 most expensive. I really do enjoy making these, so definitely hit the like button. Definitely let me know how you feel about these. Let's keep the train rolling, baby. DJing, if you like just hanging out with the community, definitely consider joining our Discord. The link will be in the description below. In real life, you want to do some rip and ship stuff, of course, check out PokeFactoryShop.com, where we guarantee 50% pull rates up to 18 cards. You guys know what we're doing over here, baby. We're trying to make Pokemon great again. We're all about trying to educate, trying to gift you guys the best deals. That's what we're trying to do around here, baby. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope all of you have a fantastic rest of your week. I'll see you guys in the next one. Poke Factory out. Peace.